Okay, so the next topic is C++ identifiers. So let us start with the C++ identifiers. So in short, C++ variables are nothing but a variable name which is given, and it should be always a unique name. So these unique names which are given to a variable are called as C++ identifiers. So previously we have seen that we have taken two variables called as x, y, z and sum, right? So these are variables and it should be always unique. So if I try to take another variable called as a sum here, so it might be an error. So it can cause an error. So you need to avoid this. Avoid declaring multiple variables. So all the name of this variable should be unique. And I will be going to take an example called as int m is equals to 60. So what is the value 60 here? What does 60 means? So it is a value, it is a data which is given to a variable m. But until and unless we know the exact how 60 acts, we cannot know the meaning of m. So m can be either a meter or a minute or it can be anything. So it should be specified clearly while writing a program. So a good programmer always specify the things clearly. So if I take a variable name as meter, which is equals to 60, so it is now much clear when compared to the previous one. So now we are having a value called as 60 which behaves as a meter rather than m. So these are some of the rules to be followed while writing a variable. Apart of this, we also have few rules to write a variable. So we just can't write a variable name as we wish. Okay, so there are some of the rules to that needs to be followed while writing a variable name. So what are those name and what are those rules? So let us discuss those rules by taking a example for each. The rule number one. So what is the rule number one? So identifier or a variable name should only contain either a letter or a number or underscore. Okay, so only these can be used while writing a variable. So what is the other part? So we are using the letters, we can use the numbers, and you can use the underscore. So we cannot use any of the other things apart of this. So there is a special variable. So if I take a special variable called as hash, and if I'm trying to write the variable name using hash, or let me take hash sum, so this is not allowed because a variable name should not be a special variable. It should only contain either a letter, number, or a underscore. So this is the basic rule. So the second rule is names must begin with a letter or an underscore. So always, whenever you're writing a variable, it should either start with a letter or underscore. What if I try to start this with a number? So as I said in the rule number one, we can be using the number, but what if I write number here but still it is a showing an error? So why is that? Because always a variable should start from a letter or a underscore. Then also after writing any of the underscore or a letter, you can follow it by using some numbers, but not at the beginning of the variable name. So that might give you an error. So this is the second important thing we need to concentrate while declaring a variable. So what is the third point? So the third point is names are case sensitive. So why this case sensitive? What is this case sensitive? Case sensitive are nothing but the C++ is a case sensitive. We say that C++ is a case sensitive. Case sensitive are nothing but, see, when I'm declaring a variable called as A, so the A and the capital letter A are two different things. Okay, so since we just pronounce this by letter A, it doesn't mean that both are same. So both are very different. So in order to understand, let me just take a example called as A is equals to 10. I am assigning lowercase a. So usually the lower letter or a small letter is called as lowercase, whereas the big letter is called as a uppercase. Okay, so I'm taking a lowercase a and assigning it to 10, whereas I'm taking a uppercase a and assigning it to 20. So you can just write C out, and I'm gonna print only this small a. So what happens? Only 10 will be printed. Only 10 will be printed and not the 20. So you can check by writing the capital A. So you can check there by writing a capital A and you can check the value. Instead of 10, we will be getting a value 20. So this is the small thing you need to concentrate on. That is always a variables are case sensitive. So while writing any of the program, you need to be keeping these points. So the next important point is names cannot, while defining a variables, it should not have a space. So in computer language, we define the space called as white space instead of a just space. Okay, whenever you are trying to give some space between those two letters or a characters, you are defining that as a white space instead of just a space. Okay, so this white space should not be contained inside a variable. Okay, so if I try to write the sum, so I'm taking an example. Okay, so I'm writing trying to write a sum, so I cannot just give a space here because it is invalid. You should not write like that. So you need to, at least you can underscore. So here you can see I am writing total value. Okay, so instead of this total value, what I will be doing in order to differentiate, I might use space here, but that is not a proper way to write a variable. Instead of this, if you want to differentiate two words, you can just use a underscore. Okay, so this is one more point we need to concentrate on. So the white space should not be used. White space is also considered as a special symbol. So what is special symbol? As discussed in the first point, so special symbols are not allowed. So as we also consider the white space as a special symbol, so this is also not considered. So we should not use any kind of white spaces. So the next important point is reserved, or you can use keywords instead of reserved words. Keywords should not be used while defining a variable. So what is this keywords now? So keywords are nothing but a word which is having a special meaning for a compiler. Okay. So see here I'm using int. What is int? Int is a keyword. It is telling that all these variables are of int data type. So int becomes a keyword now. Why is this keyword? While compiling a program, so the int will have a different value. It is having a special name. So compiler, whenever the compiler sees int, it just translate it in such a way that all these variables are converted into int. So compiler has a special meaning inside its program for int. So similarly, cout. So what is the cout? Cout is an output program. So output object. So whenever we are writing a cout, compiler understands that this is used to print something. So here some printing statement is happening. So we should not use these kind of keywords as a variable. So if I try to take cout, so this becomes invalid because cout is a cout is a keyword in the language of compiler. So these things should be avoided. Keywords are not used. So these are some of the basic things while declaring a variable. You need to concentrate so that these repetition, these mistakes should not be done while defining a variable. Don't worry, you can just practice it 2 to 3 times and you can understand what are these rules and why we need to use this rules.